My name is Jack. I'm 35 years old. Currently, I sometimes work for a moving company run by my high school friend, Tom. Tom reached out to me when he found out I wasn't working, and that's how it started. Jack, you're not doing anything right now, are you? If you don't mind, could you help us out? We're short on hands and really struggling. Really? I don't know how much help I'll be, but if I'm in, I'll give it my all. Even though I'm working at a moving company, it's not like there's work every day. I get called in to help with moves on weekends or during busy periods. And I get paid for the day's work in cash. Helping out at the moving company is a fresh experience for me, and I enjoy the physical activity. When I haven't worked for a while, Tom gives me a call. Can you help out this coming Saturday? Yeah, sure. Where's the location? He told me it was a high-end apartment for singles. My job would be to receive the delivered furniture and carry it into the apartment. On the day of the move, I was standing in front of the apartment building wearing the company uniform. Someone passing by spoke to me. Hey, aren't you Buddy? Oh, your real name is different. Aren't you Jack? Huh? Oh, you must be. Standing there was a classmate from middle school, Mark. Unpleasant memories rushed through my mind. I attended a public middle school in my hometown. We went to different elementary schools but ended up together in middle school, and he had his eye on me from the start. I heard you're good at school, huh? But I doubt you can beat me. I was taken aback by such a statement right after we met. According to classmates from his elementary school, he came from a prestigious family and had excellent grades. Does he see me as a rival? What a hassle. I decided to avoid him as much as possible. However, right after we started school, I got the top score on a test, and he approached me again. Hey, did you cheat? There's no way I would be second place otherwise. I didn't cheat. You definitely cheated. From now on, I'm calling you Buddy. That's when Mark and his cronies started their childish harassment. It was typical stuff. My things would be hidden, and they'd make loud, sarcastic comments about me in front of everyone. Still, I endured it. I thought if I remained composed, it would be fine. But Mark was the boss of the class. He was loud and had many followers. No one wanted to get involved with me, whom he had targeted. Before I knew it, I had become an isolated figure in the class. That alone, I could tolerate. In the second semester of our first year, Mark approached me, grinning. Hey Jack, you don't have a dad, right? You live with just your mom? I froze. It was true. My parents divorced when I was young. Since then, I'd been raised by my mom. She is kind and hardworking. She cared about me more than anything. She worked multiple jobs to raise me as best as she could. Yeah, and so what? I managed to reply, and he burst out laughing. Seriously? So you really are from a single-parent family? No wonder you're wearing that old uniform. It's probably a hand-me-down, isn't it? How pathetic. I felt my face heat up. It was true that my uniform was a hand-me-down from my older cousin. As I stayed silent, he continued. Your mom works as a janitor at my dad's company, right? Tough job, huh? She was indeed working as a building cleaner around that time. I bit my lip. With both parents and a rich family like mine, I can't imagine that. Must be tough, huh? He and his cronies looked at me with smirks. Classmates shot sympathetic glances my way, which only made me feel more embarrassed. That's none of your business, I replied. Oh, but I do sympathize. Keep up the good work, Buddy, he mocked. They laughed, but all I could do was silently endure it. He continued to call me Buddy and kept bringing up my single-parent household to belittle me. He criticized my belongings and boasted about his latest gadgets. I wanted to stop competing with him. It was unbearable to hear him insult my mother, the most important person in my life. I stopped raising my hand in class and intentionally made mistakes on tests to rank around 5th. When that happened, he said, "That's more like it. Don't cheat anymore, Buddy. He kept taking first place after that. I became isolated in middle school and closed off emotionally. Around the time of high school entrance exams, Mark asked, "Buddy, where are you going for high school?" "I'm aiming for Central High." I was aiming for the top public high school in the state. Hearing this, he sneered. "You're only ranked 5th. There's no way you can get into Central High. You never know until you try." "I'm going to X Academy, a private school out of state." "Your family can't afford that, can they?" "Yeah, probably not." Satisfied with my response, he left. Given my family's situation, I couldn't afford private school as a backup. I had to aim solely for Central High. I studied hard on my own, without attending supplemental classes, and got good results on the practice tests. All that was left was the actual exam. However, on the day of the exam, I caught the flu. I couldn't even go to the test site and could only cry in frustration in bed. On graduation day, Mark said to me, "So you're not going to high school after all? Going to work with just a middle school education?" "Yeah, that's the plan." Ha! How pathetic. Good luck, buddy. That was my last memory of Mark. Middle school memories rushed through my mind, making me freeze up. In front of me, Mark, now an adult, still wore that same disdainful smile. "What's the matter? Why are you frozen like that?" His voice snapped me back to reality, and I managed to respond to him. "Oh, sorry. I was just surprised. Buddy." "No, since we're adults now, I should call you Jack." "What are you doing here in that uniform? Are you working for a moving company?" "Yeah, that's right. It's my job." He laughed and said, "Oh, I see. You found work at a moving company. By the way, today's move is mine. I'll be counting on you." "Got it. I'll do my best." Then he asked me, "So, are you working full-time?" I mumbled my reply. "No. I only help out when there's work." "What the heck, that means you're practically unemployed." I didn't deny it. It was true that I didn't have a regular job. "I'm working in sales at D Advertising. You've heard of it, right?" He mentioned the largest advertising agency in the area. I knew it was a well-paying, highly coveted company. "That's impressive. That's why I can live in a high-end apartment like this in my early 30s. Where do you live now?" I told him the truth. "With my mom." Mark snorted. "Living with your mom at this age without a steady job? That's pathetic." "Well, you were raised by a single mom. Can't leave your beloved mom, huh?" I just laughed awkwardly. Then he pulled out his phone. "Jack, give me your number." "What? Why?" "I'll take you out for a drink sometime. Also, I'll spread the word about your moving company to my friends in the area." "Come on. Give me your number." I hesitated for a moment, but then thought it might help Tom's moving company. So, I exchanged contact information with Mark. Just then, the truck carrying his furniture arrived. As I started unloading the truck, he gave me a bunch of annoying instructions. He was smirking, and he only did this to me, not to the other staff, likely trying to mess with me. But I took it as a customer's request and went about my work calmly. When the job was done, and I was about to leave, Mark called me. "Hey Jack, here's a tip. You'd better appreciate it." I took it. "Thanks. We'll use it to buy drinks for everyone. You know, you can use it for your living expenses too. Your life must be tough." Smiling wryly at his final jab, I left. Back at the company, Tom asked, "Jack, what's up? You look exhausted. Did something happen?" "No, it's nothing." Then he said, "We're entering the quiet season, so we probably won't need your help for a while. Thanks for all your hard work." I smiled and took the day's pay he handed me. "Thanks, it's been a good experience. Let's grab a meal sometime." I parted ways with him. About a week later, Mark called me to meet at a bar. "Hey, it really is Buddy." The person who spoke to me was David, one of Mark's cronies from middle school. "David, long time no see." "See, David? I told you I ran into him during the move," Mark said, and David grinned. Wow, a moving company, huh? You've been working since you dropped out after middle school. Are you planning to keep doing this? No, the moving job was the last one before the quiet season, I replied. Mark looked at me with pity. So, you really are unemployed? I've never met a classmate who's unemployed before. I decided to go along with it to avoid more hassle. Yeah, I guess that's true. David then proudly said. I work at the biggest bank around here. I'm at the bank, Mark's at the ad agency. Since your classmates are doing well, you should step up too. Yeah, sure. He continued. You probably don't have any money since you're unemployed, so tonight's on me. Be grateful. I hurried to respond. No. I'll pay my share. But Mark, smirking, interjected. Don't worry about it. Just take advantage of our generosity. All right. During the drinking session, all I heard were their bragging stories. By the time it was over, I was exhausted from the effort of keeping up appearances. About a month later, I got a call from Mark. Hey Jack, are you free this Saturday? I don't have any plans, but why? Well, since you're unemployed, you must have time. I'm inviting you to a mixer on Saturday. The women are gorgeous nurses. You're welcome. I felt a bit troubled. I'd rather not. What? We need you to make up the numbers. I'm counting you in, so you better show up. He hung up after giving me the details of the place. I had never actually participated in a mixer before. But I found myself becoming a bit interested. In the end, I decided to join the mixer. On the day of the mixer, I chose my most presentable clothes and left the house. As I stepped outside, the weather was quite warm, and the cherry blossoms were about to bloom. I arrived at the designated place at 6 p.m. The meeting time was 7 p.m., but the place serves coffee as a cafe during the day, so I decided to have a coffee while waiting. I was greeted by a young waitress. Her name tag read Emily. Welcome. Do you have a reservation? There's a reservation under Mark for 7 p.m. I came early to have a coffee first. Is that okay? Of course. Let me show you to your seat. She led me to a counter seat and mentioned to a woman sitting at the counter. I believe you also have a reservation for 7 p.m., right? We only have one reservation today, so you might be here for the same event. The woman at the counter looked up. She was astonishingly beautiful. Large eyes, fair skin, and a perfectly balanced, delicate face. I was momentarily captivated. Are you here for the mixer tonight? I'm Sarah, she said. Yes, I'm Jack. I came early to have some coffee. She smiled at me. So did I. The coffee here has great reviews online, and I wanted to enjoy it slowly. We might have a lot in common. I sat down next to her. She was indeed beautiful. Mark wasn't exaggerating when he mentioned the beautiful nurse. I hadn't talked to a woman in a long time, and I felt nervous. Just then, Michael, who was behind the counter, approached us. Would you both like coffee? I recommend the Blue Mountain today. I ordered it, and she nodded. Jack, you're quite tall. She remarked. Yeah, I'm 6 feet 1 inch. I sometimes bump my head. I replied, making her laugh. We chatted. It was mostly light small talk. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the quiet cafe. Dad, what happened? Emily called out. Michael had dropped and broken a coffee cup. Shards were scattered on the floor. My arm just wouldn't move properly, he said. Emily, looking exasperated, went to fetch a broom. It seemed they were father and daughter. Are you all right? I asked. He apologized, I'm sorry for the trouble. As time passed, the other participants started to arrive. It turned out to be a 3-on-3 mixer. The other 2 women were Sarah's colleagues, Lisa and Jennifer. Nice to meet you. Looking forward to tonight. I've been excited about this evening. They were both attractive, though not as striking as Sarah. On the men's side, it was me, Mark, and David. Oh, Jack, you're already here. Early bird, David remarked. I wanted some coffee. Is Mark not here yet? Just then, Mark made his grand entrance. Sorry, I'm late. Let's have fun tonight. We all took our seats, and the mixer began. When it was Sarah's turn to introduce herself, Mark and David were captivated. Given her beauty, it was understandable, but I made sure to also pay attention to the other two women. I'm Mark. I work in sales at D Advertising, a top firm. He said confidently. The other two women's eyes sparkled with interest. Working for a big advertising agency was clearly a draw. Next, David introduced himself. I'm David. I work at a bank. I'm seriously looking for a marriage partner tonight, he announced. He also received expectant looks from the two women. Sarah, however, remained composed. Then it was my turn. I'm Jack. Suddenly, Mark interrupted loudly. Unemployed, he announced loudly. The women looked momentarily shocked. This guy, he's jobless at his age. Go ahead and laugh, David said, causing Lisa and Jennifer to laugh awkwardly. Is that true? Is there a reason for it? Well, actually. I began to explain, but David cut me off. He was working at a moving company until recently, but that job's gone now. He's completely unemployed. Tough luck, right? Lisa and Jennifer exchanged troubled glances. It was clear they had lost interest in me. Excuse me. Can we order? Mark called to Michael, who then looked at Emily. But he could only stammer, unable to continue. Emily noticed and laughed. Dad, did you forget your daughter's name? She came over to take the order. I was a bit concerned about Michael. As I watched him, Sarah spoke to me. Jack, do you have any hobbies? Just then, Mark interrupted. Sarah, ask me instead. I'm into golf. My last score was. He started bragging. When he finished, David began talking about his sauna hobby. The women listened politely. When they were done, Sarah turned back to me. I enjoy reading, I said. Me too. What have you read recently? She asked. As I started to answer, Mark interrupted again. Sarah, you're too kind. Don't bother with him, he's unemployed. Locking eyes with David, he burst out laughing. The women frowned, but the guys didn't notice. I silently drank my drink. Now, let's hear about you ladies. Which hospital do you work at? Mark asked at that moment. Emily shouted. Dad, what's wrong? I turned to see Michael stumbling with vacant eyes before collapsing to the floor. Emily screamed, and the other customers began to panic. Hey, what's happening to this guy? He just collapsed. Someone should call an ambulance. The three nurses started to rise, but then Michael began snoring loudly. Dad, are you sleeping? Don't scare me like that, Emily said. The customers murmured. He's just sleeping? What a scare. Mark tried to refocus. Guess the old guy's just tired. He'll wake up soon. Let's get back to the mixer. But I rushed to Michael. As Emily tried to wake him, I shouted. Don't move him. My loud voice drew the attention of the entire cafe. I spoke to Michael, who was lying on his back, but he didn't respond, only snoring loudly. I'm sorry for the disturbance. I think he's just sleeping, so please, everyone. I observed him closely. I checked his pulse, looked into his eyes, and examined him for any injuries. Sarah, call an ambulance immediately, I said sharply. She snapped out of her daze and responded, yes. While she was calling for the ambulance, I acted quickly. I loosened his tie and belt and covered him with a jacket. He remained unresponsive. An ambulance? Emily asked, clearly distressed. Stay calm, I said. Your father might be having a stroke. A stroke? Emily gasped. When he dropped the cup earlier, he mentioned that his arm wouldn't move, I continued. Yes, that's right. That's never happened before, Emily replied. I explained calmly. He also couldn't remember your name just now. and his face looks droopy on one side. You're right, but what does that mean? Emily asked. These symptoms are early signs of a stroke. From his snoring and the movement of his eyes, I'm certain. You should never move a stroke patient. Avoid shaking him. Oh no. Dad! Emily cried. Just then, the ambulance arrived. I quickly explained his symptoms and my observations. It's definitely a stroke. Please transport him carefully without jostling, I instructed. The paramedics seemed to agree with my assessment. Understood, they said, and gently moved him into the ambulance. The remaining staff will handle the cafe. We're sorry for any inconvenience, Emily bravely announced to the customers. She then approached me, her eyes filled with tears. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have known what to do and might have made things worse, she said. No problem. Just stay with your father, I replied. She nodded and got into the ambulance. Once the ambulance left, the cafe started to calm down, and the other customers returned to their seats. I excused myself from the table and went to wash my hands. When I returned, everyone was staring at me in shock. Sarah broke the silence. Who are you? She asked. I decided it was time to reveal the truth. I'm a neurosurgeon, I said. Mark shouted. What? What are you talking about? David, his voice trembling, added. Yeah, you said you were unemployed. I began to explain. It's true, I'm a neurosurgeon. I was working at a university hospital in New York until recently. I've been called to a local hospital here and will start next month. I've had a 6-month gap, so technically, I'm unemployed right now, I said. Mark scoffed. Don't lie. Claiming to be a doctor, that's pathetic, he said. Just then, Sarah seemed to realize something. Wait, are you going to work at Y Hospital? She asked. Y Hospital is one of the largest and most central hospitals in the area. It's known for having excellent doctors and is highly trusted by patients. Everyone in the community knows about this major hospital. Yes, but how did you know that? I asked. The two women gasped. That's where we work, they exclaimed. To think you're going to be one of our doctors. Sarah spoke with a serious expression. I heard a famous young neurosurgeon from New York was coming. I never imagined it was you, Jack. But your handling of the situation was perfect. There's no doubt you're a doctor. The two women looked at me in amazement. Mark and David were visibly shaken. That's a lie. You were working at a moving company. Mark protested. The moving company belongs to a high school friend, I explained. He asked me to help out while I was between jobs. It helped him and kept me active. David furrowed his brow. A high school friend? But you dropped out after middle school, he said. I recalled my past. I had indeed failed my high school entrance exams and initially chose to work. However, my mother insisted that she would cover the tuition if I tried again. I studied intensely while working part-time. A year later, I was admitted to S High School in New York on a full scholarship. S High School is a prestigious institution known for its rigorous academic standards. It is highly competitive, often ranked among the top schools nationally. Sarah remarked, even though she wasn't from the area. I was surprised by her knowledge but continued my story. I'm proud that S High School gave opportunities to students like me who weren't financially privileged, I continued. At S High School, I quickly befriended Tom, a fellow student from my hometown. We worked hard in our studies, but we also had fun and laughed together. Those days were much happier compared to my middle school years. Eventually, the time came to think about college. I was planning to attend a national university, but my homeroom teacher, Mr. Anderson, suggested something different. Jack, you have top grades. Staying here would be limiting. How about aiming for an overseas university, he suggested. I don't think I can afford it. I responded. I'll find a scholarship that covers everything. I believe you can become an outstanding doctor, he encouraged. He indeed found a scholarship and supported me through the application process. My best friend Tom and Mr. Anderson, my teacher. These two people I met in high school are my benefactors. Mark swallowed hard. So, which university did you go to? He asked. I went to Oxford University, I replied. The two women reacted with excitement. Oxford? That's a top-tier university. I know about it too. Only the world's top elites go there. Mark and David were left speechless, their mouths agape. So, you studied medicine at Oxford University? Sarah asked. Yes, I worked hard to become a neurosurgeon. I spent some time there, then got called back to work at a prestigious university in New York. Recently, Y Hospital offered me a position, and I decided to return to my hometown. That's how I ended up meeting them again, I explained. Lisa and Jennifer were thrilled. Wow! It's rare to meet a doctor from Oxford University. Lisa exclaimed. That jacket, it's high-end, isn't it? I thought there was no way an unemployed person could wear something like that. And you look great, Jennifer added. Their sudden interest made me smile wryly. Mark and David were completely sidelined. Hey, you two were praising me earlier. Mark protested. Compared to a neurosurgeon from Oxford, working at an ad agency or bank seems insignificant. And the salary difference must be huge, right? Lisa pointed out. When Lisa said that, Jennifer continued. Exactly. Besides, you've been looking down on Jack all evening. No matter the profession, that kind of attitude isn't attractive, Jennifer added. Mark and David turned pale. Sarah then spoke up. Jack, could we exchange contact information? She asked. Of course. I replied enthusiastically. Lisa and Jennifer also joined in. That's not fair. I wanted to. Lisa said. Me too. Jennifer added. So, I ended up exchanging contact information with them. For the rest of the mixer, Mark and David were much quieter. As we were about to leave, Sarah said, Jack, your response today was truly impressive. I'm proud to work with you at the same hospital. Feeling nervous, I replied. Sarah, would you like to have dinner with me sometime? Her eyes widened, and then she gave me the brightest smile of the evening. I'd love to. I'll find a great place. Look forward to it, she said. Lisa and Jennifer chimed in. Oh, Sarah got him. But you two really suit each other. Lisa said. Yeah, we're rooting for you. Jennifer added. Mark and David watched us with envy but quickly left. I walked home that night with a light heart. The cherry blossoms along the streets were beginning to bloom. Here's what happened after that. Rumors that I was a doctor who graduated from Oxford University spread throughout the town. Mark, on the other hand, had been telling our classmates that I was unemployed, so he ended up being called a liar. Mark and David continued attending Mixer, but their personalities seemed to get in the way, preventing them from dating any women. Mark was also acting arrogant at work, resulting in a terrible reputation. Realizing that an office romance was unlikely, he signed up for a dating service. He found a promising woman there, but she ended up taking his money and disappearing. It was classic marriage fraud. With his savings gone, he was disowned by his wealthy parents, who called him a disgrace. He now lives in a cheap apartment, and rumors about him circulate at work daily. Mark and David had a falling out over financial issues, and David is now actively searching for a partner. If they hope to achieve a happy future, they must first change their personalities. However, I doubt they'll realize that. Afterward, I received a call from Emily, who had tracked me down. Thanks to you, my father is recovering and is now undergoing rehab. The hospital said the initial treatment was excellent. I can't imagine what would have happened without you. We're very grateful. Please come by again. I was happy to receive such words, and that place has now become my regular spot. I'm looking forward to his return after rehab. So, about Sarah and me. I discovered something surprising after that. Actually, my parents are divorced too. I was raised by my mother here, while my father works in New York. I see. We're in the same situation. Then she said, I get along well with my father and see him often. I've heard about you. He said one of his students was a hard worker who got into Oxford University. He seemed very proud. I was stunned. Could it be that your father is? He teaches at S High School in New York under the name Anderson. Yes, her father was my mentor, Mr. Anderson. We were amazed by this coincidence and deeply moved. This led us to grow even closer, and we officially started dating. I began working at Y Hospital, and I often spoke with Lisa and Jennifer. Jack, how are things with Sarah? Sarah was the office beauty. Many people must be envious of you. But no one can compete with you, Jack. I scratched my head and said, "Come on, don't tease me." Sarah, Lisa, and Jennifer still seem to get along well. On our 1-year anniversary, I proposed to Sarah. "Thank you, I'm so happy. We need to tell my father." And so we went to see Mr. Anderson. I never imagined Sarah's partner would be you. But I trust you with my daughter, Jack. Take good care of her. Reuniting with him, I expressed my gratitude from those days. I was delighted that he would become my father-in-law. We got married soon after. Sarah also gets along well with my mother. She told me about your favorite dishes. I made them, so please try, she said as she set the food in front of me. Yeah, it's delicious, Sarah. Thank you. She smiled happily. We now live in a big house in our hometown, enjoying a happy life together. In fact, in 6 months, we will welcome a new addition to our family. We are eagerly awaiting this joy together. I hope to continue working hard and living happily, supporting and cherishing my family.